have Lloyd Singleton from Sumter County to talk to us today about attracting wildlife in the yard. Welcome, Lloyd.
Thank you.
Why would we want to attract wildlife? I'd like to keep the squirrels out of my yard.
Well, attracting wildlife is actually one of the 9 Florida-friendly landscaping principles. We want to do that because we in Florida are very lucky with a very diverse wildlife. However, our natural habitats are diminishing. So with a few things homeowners can do, they can actually create an inviting environment for some of our wild friends.
What kind of wildlife do you think we should be attracting?
Well, in particular, birds and bees and butterflies. I think those things are great to enjoy nature and help with pollination and just kind of enhance our life if we can enjoy nature in its balance.
Well, butterflies are a really good thing to be looking at and attracting to your yard. What do you suggest about attracting butterflies? What can we do?
Well, all wildlife need us to provide a few things. One is water, one is food, another is shelter or cover, and then also some space. So same thing with butterflies. We need to provide both host plants and nectar plants. Nectar plants, of course, are the ones that are the food. That's what the butterflies will feed on.
That's what people like to have in their yard, the
is.
flowers. They don't like the other.
Exactly. The colorful flowers are always fun. You want to have things that will bloom at different times, whether it's an annual flower or a flowering shrub. Everything from plumbago to lantana, salvia, butterfly weed, butterfly bush, pentas. Yeah, lots of different flowers are great nectar plants for butterflies. And then there's the host plants. And
yeah, the larval plants. That's when people don't really like those as much, and they don't like to see the damage to them.
That's true, and we have to take it all in stride because we will have the butterflies that lay her eggs on the host plants, such as the milkweed. But then, of course, the eggs hatch and become caterpillars, and the caterpillars like to eat the plants. So I think sometimes we need to look at those half-eaten plants as potential butterflies instead of as unsightly.
What are some of the other plants to use for that?
Well, passion flower is a good native one too that is a great host plant for some butterflies. There's many of Florida native plants are actually host plants. So sometimes if you see those leaves partly eaten, you can recognize that as a host for a butterfly instead, or a caterpillar instead of a problem.
Now, what about a source of water? I've seen lots of different ways to provide water to butterflies.
It is very important too. You can either consider adding a bird bath or a small pond to your landscape, or you can even create a puddle in your garden. And a puddled area would be one that's a low spot, maybe tends to hold water when it rains anyway. You might want to go ahead and add a clay saucer and some stones in there. And then the butterflies can get to that water without it being attracting to mosquito larvae because the stones kind of prevent the larvae from hatching there. Oh. So it's an easy way to add that water source in your garden.
Now, what about pesticides, though? Don't we have to be worried about what we're applying out there if we're trying to attract butterflies?
We really do. A lot of pesticides used currently are broad spectrum, and they're going to kill the good as well as the bad. And so we want to, as Florida-friendly landscaping, we want to advocate reduced use of pesticides, particularly using only ones that target specific pests and not the good guys too. If you do reduce your pesticide use, you're going to see a lot more of nature in your yard.
Does that mean more damage?
It may mean more damage, but it also finds a balance. We find that with reduced pesticide use, the good insects can take growth as well and help keep the bad ones in check.
Okay. What about some other types of wildlife that we might want to attract?
Well, I think you said you don't want to have squirrels in your yard.
Or maybe not attract, yes, because yeah. I have a lot of problems with other armadillos and raccoons and squirrels.
It kind of comes down to your tolerance level. If we look at nature and we're just another species on our earth, then maybe we can tolerate a little bit of that. If some of these other wildlife do become pests, we'd recommend that you contact your local extension office to get specific recommendations on moving, trapping, or somehow detracting those other wildlife pests from your yard. But encourage people to tolerate it if it is in balance.
Now, something like an alligator, I hope they're not going to call the extension office about that.
No, we hope you won't have that problem. And we do know that alligators exist in our lakefront areas. So Just make sure you keep your garbage covered and keep things that might attract some of the nuisance wildlife.
Oh, that could
to
be
your yard.
bears as well. I know there's been a lot of bears that are attracted to either garbage or bird feeders.
True. So make sure you keep your bird feeders way up high, and definitely keep your garbage covered and out of reach of any wildlife.
Now, are there lists of plants that are good to attract wildlife?
Yes, there sure is. On solutionsforyourlife.org, if you would just type in butterfly gardening, you'll find a great publication on butterfly attracting plants. Many of them are very well suited to Central Florida yards too.
Now, what about bird attracting plants?
Anything with seeds and trees that produce fruits are very good at attracting birds. Citrus is a great one. So to have an orange tree in your yard, you're going to find a lot of birds are attracted to some of the fruit that may fall.
Oh, they can actually eat that big fruit. I usually think of them as eating berries and
Well, they
stuff.
peck away at that, but also, yeah, the berries and the seeds are very attractive.
There's a lot of invasive species also that are attractive to birds too, though.
That's true. We want to avoid the invasive species, absolutely.
And are there lists of invasive species that are attractive to wildlife but we really don't want to encourage?
Yes, there are. And we do want to make sure we don't have those kind of plants added to our landscape, which is why we recommend you follow some of the recommendations on the butterfly attracting plants or bird attracting plants that we provide on our website.
Okay, should we try to put these plants throughout the landscape or concentrate them in a certain area? Or are there any ideas about using these plants?
Well, you want to make sure that you group plants according to their water need. That's more important than actually toward their attraction to wildlife. I think it's a good idea to incorporate them throughout your landscape, and then you're creating more of a habitat for wildlife at that point.
Or
spreading
maybe
them out.
have the butterfly plants that attract the adult butterflies outside your windows and then the larval food plants further away in the backyard.
Exactly. Put the larval plants somewhere where you don't have to look at them daily, but the beautiful flowers right front and center. Absolutely.
Okay, any other tips about attracting wildlife?
No, we appreciate everyone doing their part to help with our diminishing habitats and create your own habitat in your own yard.